a feeling of self-consciousness, shame, and awkwardness. That's what it means to feel embarrassed. The other week, I was watching the movie Just Mercy, and this movie, it is about this black lawyer who moves to Alabama in America in the mid or early 90s, and he graduated from Harvard, so he's a Harvard lawyer, and his whole goal was to set free a bunch of inmates from death row who he believed was innocent. And throughout this entire movie, everyone in the movie, all the people from the local town, everyone thought that he was just embarrassing himself trying to help inmates on death row with no legal charges. So he didn't charge any of them for the service that he was providing them. And realizing this in the movie made me think back to when I felt really embarrassed during my life. And it also made me think, like, we don't let ourselves feel embarrassed enough, I don't think. And I also don't think that embarrassment is a bad thing. So what do we need, or what do we need to be and also accept from this feeling of embarrassment? I think we need to be willing, we need to be vulnerable, we need to stop being so serious all the time, and we're not also like nonchalant, if you want to call it that, and we need to stop being so nervous about it. Because the feelings that come with being embarrassed, being scared, being nervous, being isolated, maybe even feeling inferior to the person that you're with, or from the person that you're with, or maybe even looking foolish some of the time. But then, what do you get from not letting yourself feel embarrassed? Maybe you have more comfortability. Maybe you're able to mask who you really are. Maybe you can make more friends. Potentially have more credibility, or have some more aura about yourself. But why would you want that? There's a great quote from Austin Butler, the man who played Elvis in the Elvis movie. He said, and this is literally from a TikTok video that was posted from this guy in New York City. He interviews random people on the subway, and Austin Butler said, "Embarrassment is an unexplored emotion, so go out there and make a fool of yourself." And I think that we let ourselves become too comfortable too often, whether that's socially, physically, emotionally. I think that we don't put enough effort into taking ourselves outside of our own comfort zones. Socially, you might not get to know new people because you might be scared. Socially, you might not let new people into your life, or you don't want to expand your social circle because it's comfortable. Emotionally, you might not be telling your mates how you actually are or how things are actually going. Or emotionally, you might not let intimate relationships actually happen because you're scared of the possibility of getting hurt, or them leaving you, or you getting attached. And physically, you might not go to the gym because you're scared of what people are going to think of you when you're in there, or you're not taking the best care of your body. You don't want other people to think of you as like a health freak. The big, I guess, thought that I had when I realized this in Just Mercy was a moment. It was during footy season this year when I was coaching, and it was a prelim final. And before the game, my team manager came up to me and told me that one of my players' grandparents passed away. And this was 20 minutes before the game started. And so I went over, I comforted the kid straight away, and I told him my experiences with losing a grandparent. and we just talked about it for a bit. And I let him get all of his emotions out. And so I asked him if he wanted me to let all the other boys know about the situation that's going on. And he nodded his head yes. He said he wanted me to. So before they all went out, I did this whole big spiel about the game plan and whatnot, and trying to beat these blokes. And at the end, I said what the situation is and what's happened, and I just really want them to get around him the entire day and make sure that not only that, but you guys stick as a team throughout the entire day, because it's more important than this. And during that speech, I was tearing up and my voice was getting so croaky the entire time because I was trying not to cry. And so I was walking over to the bench with my mate Hugo, who I was coaching the team with throughout the entire year. And I said to him, I was like, holy shit, I was so close to crying. And then we just kept walking and went back to the bench. And I knew in my head, I said to myself, if I have to say another thing, I reckon I'm going to start crying in front of everyone. The game goes on, the game's finished, and we end up winning. And it was the closest game that we've ever had in the entire season. It literally came down to like the last 2 or 3 minutes when we kicked 1 or 2 goals to seal it. And all the boys in the change room just like so G'd up, just jumping around and throwing water bottles everywhere and screaming and shouting and singing the songs. And at the end, I just got all of them to sit down and just went through the game and just like said like, this is the best game I've ever watched from you boys. And I was very happy about it. And then at the end, I thanked all of them for getting around this one kid throughout the entire day. And when I said that, everything inside me just like went out. Like I couldn't talk because my voice was just filled with phlegm. My eyes were watering, and I just bawled my eyes out in front of all the players and all the parents. And in that moment, I was so scared. I was so nervous. I felt isolated. I felt embarrassed because I knew I would break down and I didn't really want to do it. Obviously, I don't think anyone wants to break down in front of a room of people. But I knew that it was the right thing to do to mention it and to congratulate them and thank them for what they did, getting around this boy the entire day. And most of the time, doing the right thing is absolutely the hardest thing to do. And I had to find out the hard way by doing it. But the embarrassment that I felt from that moment could never outweigh what I and what all the other boys I saw got from that moment. I saw that everyone was so much more comfortable with each other. Everyone was closer with each other. All the boys were getting around each other, having more fun at training. They felt more comfortable with me, I saw. And we looked like a better team. And it just goes to show that doing the embarrassing thing can not only just be the best thing for you, but also the best thing for other people around you. Because sometimes people probably want to do the embarrassing thing that's meant to be right, but because they're too scared to do it, they're waiting for someone else to do it. When talking about embarrassment and my preach about letting yourself be more embarrassed, like, let's be honest, most of our life is surrounded around transactions. When we put effort into things, we expect to get some sort of reward or something out of it. When you put time and effort into a person you're intimate with, you expect to have a relationship with them. When you put time and effort into exercising and eating well, you expect to be shredded, have a six-pack, and be strong. When you put time and effort into your job, you expect money and status from that. So if you put time and effort into letting yourself feeling embarrassed more often, what will you expect to get out of it? Maybe you didn't realize you were charismatic. Maybe you didn't realize that you enjoyed public speaking. Maybe you didn't realize you were really good at writing, or maybe you didn't realize that you were a really good magician, but you were too embarrassed to find out. You will learn more about yourself if you go outside and willingly try new things that might make you look stupid, to find out that if you like that thing, than if you stayed inside and watched other people do it online and decided if you like it from that. When I think about embarrassment, I also thought back to when I first started this podcast in 2023. And that was in year 11. That was probably, I guess, the peak time of, I guess, being popular is the important thing, or just like being well known in that year, or to other schools. In year 11, popularity is a huge thing. And there's so many thoughts going through my head. The possibility of people thinking I'm weird, or thinking that I'm stupid, or that this is never going to work out. And there's always a possibility for that. And all those thoughts going through my head. But then I think, what if I didn't start it? What if I didn't start this podcast because I was embarrassed, or because I was scared of what others potentially might think? And made me realize that embarrassment could be the one thing that's holding you back. What if the thought of embarrassment is the one thing taking you away from your goals? It's the only thing staring you away from your goals because you're scared of the possibility of someone thinking that you're weird, or that what you're doing is embarrassing, and that makes you feel embarrassed. To that idea, I think, be more like Davis Clark. This man set out to achieve a sub 3-hour marathon, and he did it. He did that. And he did that doing some horrific things to himself, but he got it done. I think people get more caught up in the big idea of there being a chance of others judging them, rather than thinking about the fulfillment that they would get from completing their goals. So if you're scared of getting embarrassed or others' thoughts, think of Davis Clark. Think of that video. Because in this video, he literally shits himself running a sub 3-hour marathon. And for those of you who don't know like the importance of it, he ran at the Boston Marathon, and the Boston Marathon is one of the biggest marathons in the world. And he said to himself, there's a video in an interview, and there's the actual video of him recording himself after this happened, after he defecated on himself. But he said that he was going to run a sub 3-hour marathon no matter what it took. And he said, if I have to shit myself during this run, I'm going to do it. And that's exactly what he did. He shat himself during the Boston Marathon and ran a sub 3-hour marathon. That has to be the epitome of embarrassment. Shitting yourself in front of tens of thousands of people watching you run, but yet still getting it done and not giving a shit, no pun intended, not giving a shit of what other people think about you. Because that was what you wanted to do. That was what you set out to do. And I guess the easiest way to not feel embarrassed is to be numb to the feeling. To learn to not feel embarrassed, you must be so used to the feeling of it that it becomes numb to you. I had to learn to embrace embarrassment. As soon as I started posting clips from my podcast episodes, I knew that, shit, this is low-key embarrassing. I'm posting videos that I'm getting literally 70 views on through Instagram and TikTok, but I'm still doing it. This is low-key embarrassing. But I've become so used to posting so much and doing so much without any sort of reward that I don't even think twice about it anymore. I think copying it from randoms, and especially from my closest mates, the people who are closest to me, that know the most about me, and honestly don't even mean it. Copying it from them was probably the best thing for me, because it numbed me to anyone else's ideas. If you're able to copy it from your closest mates, the people who know you the best, then what does it mean for a random to come up to you and give you shit? Because they don't know anything about you. They're just speaking their mind and following the pack of what others do. But if you're able to copy it from your closest mates who love you the most, then others' opinions should mean fuck all. I had to expose myself to that sort of backlash to become numb to it. I've already heard every single call, every joke, every complaint that you can make about what I'm doing with myself from my best mates. So I've just become so numb to every single call that I hear from randoms, no matter where the environmental scenario is. I know everything that's going to be said to me. I've already heard it before. And sometimes you just need to think less. Sometimes we think too much about these things. And I love the Ted Lasso episode when he tells one of his players to think like a goldfish, have a 3-second memory, because when you think less about others and what they think about you and what you want to do, you shorten the period of, I guess, procrastination and thinking time to stop yourself from doing the things you want to do. So you should really just put less thought into your actions within reason to not worry as much. That brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And hopefully a lot of you guys can relate to this, and hopefully this can get you guys out of your comfort zone of doing something that you really want to do. If you like pottery, if you like, I don't know, cutting hair, if you like shuffling cards, if you like reading, if you want to do yoga in a public park, go and do that, because most of the time people don't think that much about you, and you shouldn't think that much about what others think. So hopefully this moved you in some way. Hopefully you guys enjoy this episode, and we'll see you guys next week.